All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Manhattan Community Board 3's full board meeting for the month of February 2023. I am Paul Rangel. I'm chair of CB3. We are going to start with our public session and a little unique twist. This public session will start with a 5-minute presentation from Lisa Bova-Glick from NYU Langone, Alzheimer's
Yes,
disease. All right. I'm going to give you 5 minutes beginning now. All yours.
thank you so much. I appreciate you allotting me this time. So everyone here is in our neighborhood of NYU Langone. I'm from the NYU Langone Alzheimer's disease and related dementias family support program. I am a community health rep, and I just wanted to talk to you for less than 5 minutes about our program. I'm sure many of you have taken care of a family member who was terminally ill or very ill, or a friend, and caring for someone with memory loss, Alzheimer's, or a related dementia can last for years and years. It is a devastating illness, and it's devastating for the person who's caring for them. Many times, caregivers end up getting sick from being caregivers because they don't know how to manage the caregiving process. Our job at the Family Support Program, and before I continue, I want to tell you that we're state funded and completely free. So we don't care about insurance, we don't care about anything except your need for our help. The most important part, I think, of our program is the one-on-one family support. We have specially trained social workers. Dr. Mary Middleman, who is the director of our program, she is a pioneer in caregiver research. And it was her research that prompted the then governor to give New York State this $75 million grant for caregiver support, specifically for caregivers caring for someone with Alzheimer's or related dementia. We have seen over 2,000 families since 2016, and every day the phone rings and it's a caregiver not knowing where to turn, what to do, how to deal with behavior issues, how to even cope and manage with their family member who is basically just disappearing in front of their eyes. It's heartbreaking, yet when we get a hold of the caregiver, we teach them how to care for themselves. And that way they care better for their person, their family member or their friend who they're caring for. We have programs within our program. We have A Place for Us, which is a recreation program for the person with dementia in the early to middle stage. We have a buddy program for the person with dementia where they pair up an early stage dementia patient with an NYU student, and the person with memory loss is actually the mentor for the student. We have a coffee clutch, which is twice a week, I believe, and it's just an informal gathering for caregivers. And we have regular support groups for family caregivers, and we have workshops and seminars, and I can go on and on. It's important that I stress to you, many people come from a place where they feel they'll just take care of their own and they're not going to ask for support. And I'm telling you that without asking for support, caring for someone with dementia can be detrimental to the health of yourself as a caregiver, to your family, and you're a better caregiver and care for the person with dementia a lot more, with a lot more efficiency if you learn from our social workers the best way to go about it. many times people call and they say, all of a sudden, this is happening and that is happening and safety issues. And they walked out of the house in the middle of the winter with their nightgown on. And I mean, all of these things that happen, you think is never going to happen in your family. You think it's never going to happen to you. But like many other diseases, dementia has, they don't care how much money you have, who you are. There's so much dementia out there, and there's so many caregivers that need support. I'm going to put our brochure, my name in the brochure. It says host and panelists. Will you spread it to everyone else?
We
Once you
will.
take me off?
We
Okay.
will. Thank you.
Okay.
And I believe you're going to be presenting at our Human Services Committee.
Yes,
with
and
your
that will,
presentation.
right,
Be
and
a week or
that
so.
will include a, in-depth
Awesome.
signs of the dementia and things like that. Please do not hesitate to call us. The person with dementia does not need to have a formal diagnosis. It is, you are noticing that there are these things happening, and it's okay for you to call. You don't pay anything. We don't care about how much money you have or don't have. We just want to help those caregivers out there that are suffering because they just don't know where to turn. And I think that for today, that's all.
That's a, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's okay. No, that's fine. I just wanted to give everyone a taste of that and just to know that we're there, and there's our brochure. And I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. And once again, Lisa will be at the Human Services Committee, I believe, this month.
The 9th, I believe.
Right. Thank you. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
We will move on with our public session. All right. Okay. So, Valentina Jones, 2 minutes, Ms. Jones.
Okay, my name is Valentina Jones, and I am here on behalf of Lower East Side Power Partnership. One of the things we did was we wrote a letter to the Cannabis Advisory Board and to the New York State Office of Cannabis Management about their cannabis law. Section 119.4 states that no adult use dispensary or on-site consumption license shall be granted if there's 200 feet, within 200 feet of a house of a occupied exclusively as a house of worship, or 500 from a school grounds. But in terms of community facility, it needs if the municipality has enacted an ordinance. And so we advocate that no dispensary or on-site license be granted in terms of a distance from a community facility, that it should not need to have a local, without the need for ordinance or local law, or for community facilities. And community facilities are described as provide daycare to children, a public park, a playground, a public swimming pool, a library, or a center or facility where the primary purpose is to provide recreational activity. So our issue is that it should be somewhat like the other ones, like the house of worship, and that there really should not be a need for an ordinance. The other thing we wrote about was congestion pricing. And our issue is that there was an article where Governor Hochul unveils a blueprint, and what it stated was that businesses in Midtown and Lower Manhattan have either struggled to stay afloat or have gone belly up entirely under the weight of financial distress. And so LESPP advocates for a review of the congestion pricing that includes the impact of COVID-19. Some of their references were done before COVID-19, when they look at other places like London, et cetera. This was before COVID. The other thing we state is that Manhattan Community District 3, there are 14,000 plus public housing, 5,000 Mitchell Lamas, and that this is not a business district, because this whole thing is about central business district tolling. So we advocate that review and eliminate Manhattan Community District 3 as part of the Central Business District because it's not a business district. The other issue we had is that if trucks delivering medications, fruits, and vegetables are told, they will probably pass that cost on to residents. And we advocate for exemption for trucks bringing medication, fruits, and vegetables to Manhattan Community District 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. All right, next on my list is another board member, Ryan. Go ahead, all yours.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Gillum. I'm speaking here in my role as Executive Director of Fourth Arts Block, who's also known as FAB. For the past 10 years, FAB has organized Lower East Side History Month each May. And one of the special events that happens as part of the celebration of this community are the Lower East Side Community Hero Awards. The awards are a way of acknowledging the unsung heroes of our community, folks who have made a real difference, but who might never be publicly celebrated or thanked for the ways they've made our lives better. Anyone who lives or works in the LES can nominate a neighbor to be recognized as a community hero. The nominations will be reviewed by a panel of LES folks, and awards will be presented at a celebration the first week of May. One of the ways this celebration is particularly special is because the awards are presented by the nominators themselves. So it's always really a powerful evening of connection and love. Many folks some on this call have been recognized, and I really encourage you to think who you might want to see receive some real appreciation for all they do and all they are. I'm going to drop a link to the nomination form here, hopefully to be shared out. The deadline for submissions is Friday, March 24th. You can find all the info on our website at fabnyc.org, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.
All right, thank you, Ryan. All right, next on my list is Garrett Rosso. Am I saying that correctly? Garrett? Garrett Rosso? Thought I saw Garrett on.
He's here and he was promoted.
Hi, do you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can. Go right ahead. You got 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Garrett. For the past 3 decades, I've been the volunteer manager at the dog park in Tompkins Square and all around volunteer at the park. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the staffing crisis at the park and where we are at Tompkins. The position of the gardener has remained unfilled for over 5 years. We have a 10.5 acre green park in Tompkins Square. Half the park is dedicated to green space. But for 5 years, we have not had a dedicated gardener to take care of it. 3 lawns at Tompkins Square are completely dead. There's no trace that there was ever grass on them. The main lawn at Tompkins was in such bad shape that I met there with Councilwoman Rivera. We met there with the park's gardening crew. It was in such bad shape, it will no longer take grass seed. So the main lawn is going to have to be dug up and replanted from scratch. We can't continue to operate as a community if we can't fund and maintain that park. I don't want to start conflating trees and lawns with the needs of people. But years ago, my mentor, ex-park commissioner, Adrian Benepe, said some important words to us. He said, I don't want to keep having to police Tompkins Square Park. These are words that should resonate with us today, as strong as they did 20 years ago. What a park commissioner is trying to tell us is we can go in and we can build a world-class park at Tompkins Square, but we as a community have to fund and maintain it. If we don't do that, the park is going to cause trouble, and we're going to be sending the police in every 10 minutes. By funding that park, that's what creates a healthy park. It's what creates a healthy neighborhood, a healthy community. I don't want us to think that we can fund all kinds of ancillary programs, but not fund the basics requirements of maintaining a park there. I know we're all struggling, and thank you for giving me this 2 minutes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right, next on my list is Marissa Yanni from DSNY.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Marissa Yanni. I'm the Manhattan Community Affairs Liaison from the Department of Sanitation. I have just one quick update for everyone. Starting April 1st, the set-out time is changing in New York City. This applies for commercial and residential properties. Residents can place trash and recycling out for collection no earlier than 8 p.m. on the day prior to their scheduled collection. Currently, the set-out time is 4 p.m. If residents use a container with a lid, they can place their material out beginning at 6 p.m. For commercial, it's pretty similar. Businesses can place their trash and recycling out for collection no earlier than 8 p.m. and prior to scheduled overnight collection. And collection must occur by 6 a.m. If the businesses use a container with a lid, they can place material out beginning 1 hour before closing. We're doing a lot of community outreach in my office to help spread the word. You might actually see some of our ads on the subway. My friend told me she saw them today, so please look out for it. You'll know it because it's a rat with a suitcase. So if you see that, that equals the set out time change. We're also reaching out to property owners, large business management property companies as well. If you know of any buildings or any bids or anybody you think that we need to reach out to that have told you they haven't heard of anything, please let Susan know and she'll let me know. And I'll make sure that we reach out to them, but we have our whole commercial waste team reaching out to businesses as well. Thank you so much for letting me speak tonight and have a great night.
Thank you so much. All right, next on my list is, I'm gonna spell it first, ASWIN, Aswin. Is that person on? No, I'll come back to that person. I can't pronounce the last name. I'm not even gonna shoot the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll come back to it. Okay, next on my list is Odette Wilkins. I think I saw that person on.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Good evening, I'm Odette Wilkins, and I'm President and General Counsel of Wired Broadband, a nonprofit focusing on safe technology for the public. I'm also a technology attorney and have been for over 20 years. So I know the benefits of technology and the risks. And there are many risks associated with wireless radiation and the Link 5G cell towers in particular. I don't know if you've considered the Link 5G cell towers, but these are huge three-story high structures. One already exists in your neighborhood, and you're slated to have 3 more, and you have a deadline of March 4th. So if you haven't taken the opportunity to review this information at length, you might ask for an extension of time to do so. And there are many community boards who have voted for moratoria and who have voted for disapprovals. There have already been 8, and there are more on the way. And their concerns were aesthetics, ill placement in historic districts, lack of privacy and security, rat infestations on existing Link NYC kiosks. So when Marissa Yanni was talking about a rat with a suitcase, that's immediately what I thought about, and health issues related to exposure to wireless radiation. So, and for instance, in Washington Heights, the residents have been in an uproar because OTI started construction without getting community input. So there have been many health risks associated with wireless radiation. But first of all, there has been no pre-market testing of 5G for public health or safety. That was confirmed by Senator Blumenthal of Connecticut when he had a hearing of the telecom executives who said that there was no testing, no pre-market testing. And he said, well, we're flying blind here as far as health and safety is concerned. It's also been classified as a possible human carcinogen in 2011 by the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer. And in 2000, there was a study commissioned by one of the major telecom carriers that found links to cancer, leukemia, neurological disorders, and cognitive impairment. And also in terms of first responders, the International Association of Firefighters opposed the cell towers near fire stations because they found that it was disorienting their firefighters and they couldn't find the fire. So in California, you can't put it on a fire station. Now, it's also a fire hazard because it is an electrical installation. And because 5G runs hot, cell towers have been known to catch on fire. There's also an insufficient fall zone. Usually you have to have a fall zone of at least the length of the tower, but these can be as close as 10.6 feet to your house. So if there's a structural failure, it can crash into your home, crash into a school, crash onto the sidewalk, and there can be a lot of damage and injury. So I would suggest that that Community Board 3 ask for an extension of time in order to seriously consider this issue so that you can make an appropriate judgment and have your concerns addressed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next person on my list is Theodora Scarato. Am I saying that correctly?
You got it right. Thank you,
All right, no
Scarato.
problem.
Thank you. I'm Theodora Scarato. I'm Executive Director of Environmental Health Trust. We are a scientific think tank, and I want to share with you some of we work on preventable environmental health risks, and we're focused on wireless right now. I'm sorry about my dog. So we just published a paper. It's published in Environmental Research, and the authors are our president, Dr. Deborah Davis, Dr. Hugh Taylor, Yale School of Medicine, Chief of Obstetrics, Dr. Linda Birnbaum, who is the former director of the National Institutes of Environmental Health Sciences, one of our advisors, and as well, and Dr. Taylor is on our board, and Paul Benishai, who's at the Department of Physics at Ariel University. Now, what it talks about is how the Federal Communications Commission's limits, which when we ask the city, why is this safe? They're going to point to the FCC as somehow providing safety. But this report, and we have many such publications and studies, and this is just what happened today, what was just published today. But it goes into and I'll quote, the plethora of both experimental and epidemiological evidence establishing a causal relationship between electromagnetic fields, non-ionizing electromagnetic fields, radio frequency is what comes out of cell towers, and cancer and other adverse health effects, including effects on fetal development and the endocrine system, increases in biochemical alterations such as DNA damage, increased production of free radicals, and other signals found to be predictive of cancer and other degenerative diseases have been clearly demonstrated. I will put my email in the chat. So if you want to contact me for more information on this, we did end up needing to sue the federal government, the FCC, because the limits that they have for what's allowed for cell tower radiation, those limits are from 1996. There's been no review of all of the science by any federal agency, not by the FDA, not by the EPA, not by the World Health Organization either. And that's a whole other subject, which I'm glad to address it had I more time, because what's happened is there are captured agencies where we have people who used to be working for the industry now in those entities that supposedly regulate or review the science. So the court did order the FCC to respond to address impacts of long-term exposure, children's unique vulnerability, as well as the impacts to the environment, birds, bees, and trees, and also to address 5G and how the new technology is different than technology back in 1996. They have not responded, and it's been almost 2 years, a year and a half. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. All right, we're going to move on with, we still have a few more people for public session, so I'm going to finish this up. David Troutman, I thought I saw him on before. Is David on?
Hey, I'm here.
Go right ahead, David, 2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm a long-term resident of Orchard Street. I've been here probably 25 years or maybe longer. And during that time, we've lived through some really chaotic times on Orchard with lots of problems from the late night venues, liquor licenses primarily. So tonight I'm speaking about an applicant 167 Orchard Street. It was item number 7, I believe, on the SLA committee. And I wanted to give just a brief history of that location. Originally, It was Teeny Fork and the Derby, which was a kind of notorious nightclub that had a separate entrance down to the basement and was a really big quality of life issue in the neighborhood with doors and windows. It's got pretty expansive doors and windows at this large space, left open as late as 4 a.m. That was followed by the next occupant, Pizza Beach, where they had tougher stipulations, but they had really no desire to abide by their stipulations. Windows were often left open. They did have DJs there, even though they were not supposed to. And supposedly they had no cellar use. I did not check to see if they ever used the cellar, but I did notice DJs and big problems with the windows being open. When Mother Duck moved into the space, the community board gave us quite a bit of great protection for the residents because there was no DJ added in the space there and no basement bar. So we really appreciate that quiet time out of them. But now we have a new applicant who runs a much smaller space, and the new space they're taking over is probably 5 times larger and significantly more window space. And if it's actually true that the new applicant has no prior liquor license, I'm not certain that's true, but if that is the case, why give such a huge space to someone who would not have a liquor license in the past? Particularly of concern was that the potential reinstitution of the use of the basement space, the possibility that there could be a bar added to that basement later, and the addition of DJs all are some pretty big problems for this neighborhood. This is also the corner where Hair of the Dog, the Skinny, and formerly Epstein's are located. So the police have a regular presence here at this location. And my conversations with the prior 7th Precinct community Captain Barcia was that he always had difficulty getting or requesting additional people to handle those late night hours up until 4 a.m. and not even to mention up until 6 a.m. where we continue to have problems with the places as they close down. And of course, the issue with DJs is this business of pumping up the music really loud, like 2:30 a.m. and turning people out onto the streets, and where it just gets crazy out on the streets instead of indoors. So with this current applicant, we feel there's no protection for the basement bar or a separate entry or DJs for the community. I'll close with that and just say thank you to all the community board members who volunteer their time to work to make our community better. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Troutman. All right, I believe there's a few people who are signed up to speak on this specific item. Go to the next person. I see on my list is DM Boyd.
Thank you for having us. I just wanted to ask that 167 Orchard be denied. I think there was a, well, I'll just go over this. The committee board was sent in time, the SLA committee, as new chair was sent in time, the history of this place, the voting resolutions of committee board 3, the fact that the current space is in violation of DOT. It had 24 hours to cure it, never cured its space. All this information was provided, including the breakdown of the application, and we were shocked that none of this was brought up to the committee. No one asked questions. No one, we don't know if it was read or if the committee didn't even read their own old resolutions. But this is a red flag from the very moment that this application applied. They wanted DJs, they wanted security, all of these things that were obviously nightlife related. But the main concern was that this is a problematic place as a takeout place in that it has people loitering outside. It is, if you walk by it tonight, invite anyone in the committee board to walk by it tonight, and you will see trash piled up in between and around the shed. The shed is in violation. We tried to bring that up to the committee. We were shot down. The lawyer said that wasn't true. No one on the committee checked, which they could do on 311 open data to prove that was true. So we were really concerned that no one read the application. The applicant wrote on his own application that he is a co-licensee. of a place in Brooklyn, according to the SLA. He is not on that license at all. That was not brought up or asked. So therefore, we don't know if he's ever had a license, and he definitely hasn't had a license in his current space, which is a takeout window that was given outdoor dining during the pandemic. So we were shocked to find that this wasn't denied, because we think that SLA would hold that, because what the applicant was really trying to do is create a nightlife spot for a late night burger spot. We have enough burgers in this neighborhood. There's Bear Burger, there's Shake Shack opening up a few blocks away. And this should have never been approved. But more disconcerting is that no one on the committee read any of the research or read their own resolutions back, in which they talked about how problematic this space was, and how they removed DJs, they removed the basement bar. All of these things were to protect the community, and yet they were added back at the last community board hearing, and there was no pushback, or nobody read any of Community Board 3's own history or resolutions, or any of the research that we provided about this applicant. And we hope that the committee and the full board will really look at this and know that this corner is one of the most problematic. The cops are there every weekend if they can find staff, and if the fire department can help, they'll station a fire truck out there. It is mayhem and chaos, and now we have 40 illegal weed shops on top of that. It's unsustainable, and to allow a business to have a liquor license for a hamburger place is not in the public benefit. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. I'm gonna, there's a couple more, Leah, I'm not gonna take any questions right now. I apologize. I'm just gonna keep this
I'm
public
just
session.
wondering what she was talking about, which number? That's
Oh, it's SLA item 7. Agenda item number 7, Lee. Okay, it's Jeanne Mullen. Is Jeanne Mullen on? It's the person I've listed.
She is on, I promoted her.
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
go right ahead.
I'll make this brief. My name is Jean Mullen. I've lived at 101 Stanton Street for close to 30 years. I would like to vehemently oppose granting a liquor license to 167 Orchard Street, as it will in no way benefit this community. On the contrary, it is incontestable that there are and have been for at least 20 years too many bars oversaturating too small an area. We add now to the mix a ridiculous number of smoke shops and virtually no retail diversity, not even a laundromat. As residents of this neighborhood, we spend an inordinate amount of time making complaints to 311, being kept awake regularly by music from bars, crowds in the street, which the 7th precinct, despite their best efforts, are not really equipped to handle. So that's all. I reiterate again, there's no benefit to the residents of this community to grant a liquor license to 167, and I urge you to deny the application. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mullen. All right, we're gonna move on to the next person, Patrick Walsh. Patrick Walsh. You have 2 minutes,
Hello,
sir.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I too speak of 167 Orchard Street. As I write, there are at least 38 liquor licenses now in operation within 500 feet from where I sit in my living room. I also live on Stanton Street, 101 Stanton Street. This reckless proliferation, now abetted by some 45 illegal weed shops, has predictably transformed my neighborhood into a crime zone, which, despite their best efforts, is beyond the ability of the NYPD or any police force on earth who are unwilling to enforce a police state to do anything other than to maintain some semblance of civilized life. It is simply a matter of physics. You cannot have that much alcohol and that many people in narrow streets without creating chaos. And chaos is what my family and my neighbors have experienced for more nights than I care to remember. Never mind the endless hours stolen from screens in the streets, or making endless 311 complaints, or writing letters to elected officials, or meeting with NYPD, pleading with them to help us. These facts alone should disallow the idea of another bar under any conditions. It is inconceivable that another bar could do anything other than deepen the nightmare we residents have been forced to live in. Despite this, an application from a takeout window hamburger shop with no license of any kind and with a dubious record from both the Department of Transportation and the NYPD was recently approved, allowing the possible transformation into a bar 30 yards from my home, and not merely a bar that sold hamburgers, but a bar that sold hamburgers that included a cellar with a DJ, who, unlike every other DJ on the planet, is to play music at an ambient volume. And not only that, but this newly transformed bar that sells hamburgers with a cellar DJ is situated on one of the most notorious corners in the city. To repeat myself, this is a spot where there are at least 38, possibly 39, both numbers were thrown around the other night, active liquor licenses within 500 feet. Surely the greatest concentration of bars in this country. Given all this, it is inconceivable that this establishment could be of any benefit to this neighborhood. We therefore ask you, in the name of we residents, our families who have suffered for so long and whose lives have been so thoroughly degraded, to deny this application. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. All right, I have one more, maybe two more people to speak. Arnold Gore. Arnold. There you go.
I'm Arnold Gore from Brooklyn, New York. I speak in opposition to NYC Link kiosks. The previous speakers have amply referred to the serious health impacts of wireless technology. The Harvard Center for Ethics has found the FCC to be a captured agency. Instead of regulating the telecommunications industry, it acts as an advocate and protector of that industry. The revolving door between the wireless industry and the FCC is legion. During the Republican administration, Ajit Pai was the commissioner, and he was a former Verizon lawyer. During the Democratic administration, Tom Wheeler was the chairman of the FCC, and he was head of the Cellular Telephone Industry Association prior to that. The electrically sensitive people are serving as the canaries in the coal mine, and as antennas have increasingly effective radiated power, more people are being drawn into the electrically sensitive category. Unfortunately, it falls on the city to use its powers, which the FCC has not been able to protect us with. The Telecommunications Act of 1996 left zoning and siting powers to the locality. The city must allow telecommunications infrastructure needed to complete a cellular telephone call. Most areas have no gaps in service in cellular telephone communications. Where there is a gap, the city must allow the power needed to complete a call. But the industry is asking for much larger amounts of power to be installed, and they probably want it for 5G because you can't drive a driverless car without 5G. Only we do not need that. In order to withstand the appeals of the denial of zoning and siting law, there should be a law enacted to formalize our zoning regulations. An excellent model law was enacted in Woodstock, New York, but it must be tailored to local needs. I hope this has been helpful. The documentation of a lot of these studies can be found on the Environmental Health Trust website, ehttrust.org/science. If you are interested in following up some of these details, but it's not the purview of the city to actually regulate these emissions, but it is within our power to regulate the siting and permitting of these infrastructure facilities.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gore.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Okay, let's see, the person who I was looking for did not sign on. So that will conclude our public session for February 2023. So let's now move on to our elected official session. I believe Mayor Adams' office is on. Robin Forst is on. Am I saying that correctly?
Hi, Robin Forst.
Go ahead, Robin, all yours, 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you, Paul. I just have a few brief announcements that I wanted to make. One is that the Summer Youth Employment Program applications are now open. So that program, which is celebrating its 60th year, by the way, is open to New York City youth between the ages of 14 and 24. The application deadline is the 31st of March, and applications can be found at nyc.gov SYEP, which is the name of the program. There's an additional program that is being worked on right now, which is called SYEP Pride, and it will be to specifically target LGBTQ plus youth with opportunities within the program. If anybody might be interested, there's actually a briefing for potential employers. Next week, I can put the information in the chat if anybody wants it, or you can reach out to me. I will leave my information in the chat. Second, I wanted to mention, if you haven't heard, you probably have, that there is free tax prep service being offered by the city. It has income limits. So for single filers, the income limit is 55,000, and for families, 80,000. But it's completely free, available in many languages throughout the city. So it's an opportunity for anybody eligible to participate. And finally, I wanted to mention that for property owners, there is a limited one-time amnesty for interest on water bills. So that is also available at nyc.gov, and the link is one-time amnesty. There is a deadline, but there's a waiver, and it's a very generous program for people that have accrued interest on their bills. I see that there's a question about SYEP Pride. I don't know the answer, but I assume it's the same as the regular program, which would be 14 to 24. I can get back to you if you would like me to. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Robin. I believe you have a hand up.
Oh,
Michelle, go ahead.
Michelle. Okay. Hi, Michelle.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, Robin. Thanks for coming tonight. I just wanted to remind everyone here this evening that we are not actually in a church meeting. I feel like I need to say that because the mayor this morning and his advisors basically said that they did not believe in the separation of church and state. I, as a person who do not subscribe to a church, felt very uncomfortable by that. And I'm really wondering, Robin, if you have a comment on that, if you have a thought about how people like me should feel about hearing that from their mayor, where we are, as a Americans have been built on the foundation of the separation of church and state. It's in our constitution. It makes me deeply uncomfortable. So I'm wondering if you have a comment on that.
I don't have a comment specifically, except to say that you're not alone in having that reaction. There was some official language that came out of the mayor's office. I think what he said was more of a personal feeling rather than anything of a larger scale nature. But I would be happy if you want to reach out to me to follow up with you on that. It's definitely been in the news.
Okay.
You're not alone.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll put my
You have
contact
two more
info-
hands, and this will be the
Oh,
final two. I'm
okay.
sorry, Robin. You have
I
two more
can't
questions.
see, no, I can't see.
I got it for you. Lee Berman and then Carlin Chan. Lee Berman.
Okay.
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Robin. Thank you so much for coming. I hope that
pleasure.
this is the beginning of a long relationship. We hope to see you here often. My question for
I
you,
will be here as often as I can. Although
Okay.
your board meeting conflicts with Community Board 1, your full board meeting. So
well,
I would be
hopefully
here
it's
more
not
often. But I'll
hopefully
be
it's
here
not
at least
just you
every
in the
other month.
mayor's office. So hopefully we're able to get somebody from the mayor's
Yes,
office
and
on
I
a much
come
more
to some.
frequent basis. We
Yes, okay.
appreciate that. My question to you is, as one of the public speakers already mentioned, here in Community Board 3, we have in excess of at least 43 illegal smoke shops / weed shops. We all know that it is a very large problem within the city, especially within our district. I know that there was another gunpoint robbery of one of these locations yesterday in our neighborhood. We beseech the mayor to do more to try to stamp out these illegal smoke shops. And we look forward to hearing and working together with you here as a community board, with the precinct, and with all other resources to do that sooner rather than later. So anything that
hear-
you're able to do to help, we appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm aware it's a problem throughout the city. You may or may not be familiar with an initiative that the mayor launched with District Attorney Bragg. I don't know if there's a representative from his office on this call.
There is.
Oh, okay. Well, that they can talk a little bit more about it. The enforcement mechanism for the smoke shops, there is really through the sheriff's department. NYPD has been doing a lot of work trying to do what they can to affect change. The program that was launched by the mayor and the district attorney reached out to 400 smoke shops in Manhattan, to the owners of the properties, and advised them that the illegal practices going on would not be tolerated and eviction proceedings could take place. So I will leave it to the DA's representative to detail that more. We hear you. It's a really terrible situation. I
It
don't
is,
take it
and-
lightly. And
thank you for that. However, every one of those landlords was well aware before they rented their locations to these illegal smoke shops. And
Right,
a letter
but they
to those
didn't
landlords
know-
isn't really going to help. And my last request is for your office to ask and work with the sheriff's office so that there is activity, that there is enforcement every single day. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Final question. Carlin Chan, go ahead.
Harlan. Okay.
Yeah, hi there. I'd like to know is Mayor Adams going to move forward with a tax lien sale this year to try to fill some of the budget gaps we have?
I do not know the answer to that. I don't have, I know nothing about that. I used to work at the city council, and that was a frequent topic of discussion, but I don't know. It's something I can try to investigate and get back, but at this moment, I have no further information.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Robin. I appreciate
you
it. We'll
for
move
having
on
me.
with our elected official reports. Thank you. All right, next on my list is Public Advocate Williams. Is anybody representing his office? No. Controller Lander? Or President Levine's office? I think he was on, right?
Yes, I'm on.
All
Thank you,
yours.
Paul. And first of all, thank you for your service. I'm sorry to see you go and hope you can come back in the future. And thank you for those who were able to join us yesterday at the Black History Month celebration. Let's get into the business. So first of all, the open meeting law, the mayor has assigned executive order for another 30 days. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's March 21st, 2023. So as always, we will keep you posted. And our community board application. So we are currently open for a community board application. If you are up for reapply, you should have already received my email. But if you are interested in the civil engagement, if you're interested in serving our community, please spread the words or apply. Would love to see you all coming to apply our community board. And if you don't have the link, I'll post it in the chat box. And also, our Mr. Borough President announced something very important at our very first State of the Borough address, which is the Housing Manhattanites. For Community Board 3, even though the population remains almost the same throughout the past 10 years, but there are a little bit over like 80,000 residential units are currently in the district. Since 2015, the district has produced 1,426 affordable units, the second highest number Manhattan. But since 2016, only 94 of those are mandatory inclusionary housing. Compared to other districts in Manhattan, median monthly rent in CB3 is low, ranging from a little bit less than 3,000 in Chinatown to almost 4,000 in East Village. But 47 of all households are rent burdened, while 73 of the households earning 5,000 or less, 50,000 or less are rent burdened. Our review of CB3 identified 8 potential housing sites, 7 of which are publicly owned, which means 100% affordability. 2 of the sites include in this report are commitments so that the city made as part of the 2021 Soho NoHo rezoning, where 3 of the sites are included in the Essex Crossing plan. So if you haven't read our Manhattanites housing reports, you can just go to our website. I'll also drop the link to the chat box. One last thing is the Link NYC 5G towers. So we have sent a letter to the NYC Office of Technology and Innovation asking the city of New York to slow the 5G tower rollout until they examine key recommendations. So please wait. We will work with the office and to roll out a plan that's will take everybody's opinion into consideration. And that's it. That's some of my report for today. Thank you, everybody. I would love to take any questions.
I don't see any hands up, so I think you're good.
Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words earlier. I appreciate that. All right. So we're going to move on with the elected official reports. I believe I saw Kevin on before because he was posting in the chat. Is he representing DA Bragg's office today? DA Bragg's office. I thought I saw Kevin on earlier.
He's on, but he's muted. He might have stepped away.
Fine. Well, I'll come back to him if he gets back on. I know he was on. I know he posted some reports in the chat for everyone. All right. So I'm going to keep moving.
I'm sorry
Uh,
about that, Paul. I am here. Can you hear me?
yeah, go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead, 2 minutes, please.
I apologize about that, but essentially my announcements were what I put in the chat. Robin spoke a little bit about our cannabis enforcement with the mayor's office. That's a new initiative that we started. 400 smoke shops received eviction warning letters from us. So essentially, if the landlord doesn't proceed with the evictions, then our office can take over and do so. But also acknowledging that it can take quite a long time to do an eviction proceeding. And so we're really focusing on the more egregious locations, particularly folks who are selling to younger folks, minors, and folks who are, after being warned or being raided by the sheriff's office, have continued selling the illegal cannabis or other narcotics that they're selling. So, excuse me, we're using that as an enforcement tool. I know there's a few shops that were closed down in the East Village area, maybe 3 to 4 weeks ago, and some have reopened, and investigations will continue to see if they're selling illegally or if they're selling legally or not selling cannabis, since none of them are currently licensed. If you do have locations, I put my information in the chat. You can always send them to me. Chances are they're on our list. If they're not, we can send them a warning letter as well. And we'll take it from there and see if there's anything else, any suggestions or comments, questions that we can do with more cannabis enforcement. The other piece of information I put in the chat was our new worker protection unit. Those are folks who are pretty much has been victims of wage theft. Large companies and corporations taking advantage of usually immigrant workers, undocumented folks, or folks who just have working papers, and knowing that they're afraid to report some of these instances to the authorities, they usually take advantage of them. And so I put that information there for anyone to report it. That's all I have, Paul.
Thanks, Kev. Any questions? I think everybody asked the questions and you answered them in your reports. All right. Thanks, Kev. Thanks for coming down tonight. Congressman Goldman's office.
Hi, thanks, Chairman. Look, Congressmember Goldman has, well, as tax season coming up, the city, we know that the city's offering free tax preparation. As IRS is a federal agency, if our constituents has any service needs that needs to follow up with IRS on their tax return, tax refund, anything. And also other, other agencies, please feel free to contact our office for service. Our Manhattan office phone number is 212-822-7878, and our Brooklyn office is 718-312-7575. And Congressmember Goldman has been engaging NYCHA developments throughout New York 10, particularly in the Lower East Side. Our office joined local elected officials, including Assemblymember Harvey Epstein, Senator Brian Kavanaugh, and Councilmember Carly Rivera for a meeting with the Tenant Association and residents of NYCHA's first houses here in Lower East Side, as they have NYCHA recently has a plan for several residents there, for a lot of residents there to relocate due to emergency roof repair work needed in the building. Our office will be working with the local partners to ensure everybody has a safe transition. And then last week, Congressmember Goldman joined Community Board 3 and local elected office to meet with NYCHA regarding sewage and drainage issues at Compost Plaza Community Center, thanks to Susan. The center has been dealing with sewage backup impacting the ability to hold programming. And then there are a lot of infrastructure issues. Dan called for an emergency meeting to get a complete short-term and long-term plan of action and timeline. We will continue to monitor the issue and work with the community board to get a resolution for the center. And then Dan has vowed to make sure the 9/11 World Trade Center Health Program will have its funding issue resolved. The health program provides health care for a lot of for hundreds of thousands of survivors and the first responders. And it was kept going thanks to a $1 billion fund that Senator Schumer and Gillibrand worked to add to the omnibus funding bill at the end of last year. And then Dan is working to continue getting it funded. And then on the legislative update, he is fighting. He unveiled his green equity amendment to the big oil bill that House Republican passed through the House recently. So his amendment is would turn a planet-killing corporate giveaway into a recommitment to energy independence and equitable energy transition. And then also he commemorated International Holocaust Remembrance Day by delivering a speech on the House floor to highlight the reality that we as a nation are not adequately passing on the lesson of the Holocaust to today's victim of today's victim of worldwide persecution. And then he's on the Committee of Homeland Security and the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Move on to the next person, I believe, Assembly Member Lee. I believe Samantha's on. She was on, but I saw her come on before. Samantha Day, Assembly Member Lee.
She's signed on.
Okay, I'll come back. Next person I have is Assembly Member Glick. I thought I saw Tracy on.
Yes, thanks, Paul. Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy from Assemblymember Glick's office. I put I sent to the hosts and panelists our board report. There's a link to it. The primary thing I think was reported last month. Roy from our office probably told you that Deborah is now the chair of the Environmental Conservation Committee in the Assembly. So she is quite focused on that work in Albany right now and preparing for doing budget work. 2 weeks ago, they had, excuse me, she's was with colleagues convening a full day hearing on budget issues related to environmental conservation topics. And in our board report, I link to the hearing. You can watch a recording of the hearing. It is 14 hours long. Or if you're interested, you could even scan through the page on the website and see links to PDFs from everyone who testified. So if you're interested in a range of environmental issues that the committee is reviewing, that's a really good place to see what environmental groups around the state agencies, schools, a whole range of stakeholders were presenting on at the budget hearing 2 weeks ago. Another piece of legislation, I'm sorry, in the board report, I did also list some of Assemblymember Glick's legislative priorities for this session. One in particular that I'll highlight is would require limited service pregnancy centers, also known as crisis pregnancy centers. Deborah has a bill that would require such centers to disclose the fact that they don't provide abortion services to their clients. Right now, you may have heard in the news, and I've seen it getting some federal attention, that there are these crisis pregnancy centers that are not necessarily staffed by medical professionals. And they're really these sort of sometimes pop-up centers that whose mission is to prevent people from seeking abortion care. So this bill would just require those kind of centers to disclose that fact right up front. So that's something in our list of priorities for this session. I also wanted to highlight that the Assembly member has been working closely with Assemblymember Epstein and other colleagues to try to learn more about Mount Sinai's plans for the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary. Many of you have probably seen that there was an effort to merge the infirmary with Mount Sinai Beth Israel. That application was rejected earlier this month, earlier this month. And Deborah's continuing to work with her colleagues to pursue a meeting with Beth Israel and with the State Department of Health Commissioner to advocate for preserving the infirmary and trying to understand more about what's happening with it. And then finally, I'll just mention, since it's not in the board report, but since we were hearing discussion about the 5G towers, I just wanted to mention that earlier this month, we signed a letter with on the west side with Councilmember Bottcher, Senator Kavanaugh, and Senator Hoylman Siegel, requesting that the city pause the plan for installing more 5G towers. So I don't know if the east side may be considering a similar letter, but our office would be happy to sign on to that or initiate that if that's useful. I can be in touch with Councilmember Rivera's office about that. I think I'll stop there, but if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Carlin, you have your hand up?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, what can we do to remove an existing tower that went up?
I don't have an answer for that. It's a city function, and we're a state office, so I would defer to any of my city colleagues that might be on. I'm not really sure what that process would look like. So I don't know if anybody from the borough president's office or the council office may have more information.
We'll get that question to them.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that. All right. I'm going to move back to Assemblymember Lee. I believe Samantha's on now. Go right ahead, Samantha.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. I'm Samantha. I'm Assemblymember Lee's Chief of Staff. Have a couple of updates since our meeting last month. We were just our first few weeks in office and kind of an introductory meeting. So over the last month, we've been able to confirm a location for a storefront office that will be opening in April or May. It's going to be on Grand and Allen Street. We're really excited to have a location that's more accessible to the district and fulfill one of our campaign promises to have a transit accessible storefront office. Our team is also growing. We just hired a communications director who's going to be starting with our team on Monday. And we're excited to be able to communicate all the work that we're doing in the community a little bit easier with the new member joining us. Grace has been going to all of her committee meetings now. I don't think we had our full list last time, but she's on the Environmental Conservation Committee, Housing, Consumer Affairs and Protection, Social Services, Banks, and she's also the co-chair of the APA Task Force, which means that she helped lead the group that focuses on making sure that the New York State Legislature is serving Asian constituents throughout New York State. I'm sure as my colleagues on the call shared, but the budget process is well underway up here in Albany. Assemblymember Lee has been busy attending budget hearings, and tomorrow starting at 9:30 a.m. is the housing budget hearing that is open to the public if anybody is interested in joining, and you can find the link to watch it on the Assembly or Senate website. As part of the budget, we've helped spearhead a few different asks. The first is the API Equity Budget Coalition request for $66 million to support Asian serving and Asian-led organizations throughout New York State. We were able to get a majority of our colleagues, over 51 sign-ons onto that letter, which we're really excited about. We also are helping push to get money for rent arrears for NYCHA, public housing, and Section 8 throughout New York State. is one of our other major initiatives. We were able to get 39 of our colleagues to sign on to that letter as well. So really busy trying to continue to build support so we can get some money for both those initiatives in the budget. And we've also signed on to a number of our colleagues' letters supporting organizations and programs that would benefit constituents in the district. In terms of legislation, we've signed on to an initial slate of bills now, and we've met with over 100 advocacy groups in Albany on every issue that you can imagine. We're also working on a number of exciting new legislative ideas that we'll be able to announce after the budget. In the district, our district staff has been working diligently to, work quickly to address any constituent concerns that have come to us. And we've also been focusing on doing walkthroughs of all the NYCHA developments in our district. We have 12. We've been setting up times to go through and address issues with TA leadership and management and working on establishing strong relationships so that we can get issues addressed in a timely manner. And then, of course, our staff has been busy attending meetings and events, including, community board meetings and TA meetings and precinct meetings and everything that we're invited to. And then I'm going to drop a couple of contact information in the chat. If anybody has questions about legislative ideas, either requests for us to look into ideas for bills, or if you'd like to know what we're already on, you can email me. I'll put my email in the chat. And then if anybody would like to request a meeting with our office or the assembly member or to invite us to events, I'll also include the email for our scheduling account as well. And I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Samantha, looks like you're off the hook. All right. Thank you so much. All right. I saw one of our elected officials came on. I believe Councilmember Marte is now on. I will go to him. So go right ahead, Councilmember Marte.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I can't have my video on. I just wanted to give a few updates from my office. Last stated meeting, we introduced a resolution in regards to the borough-based jail, asking the administration to choose the adaptive reuse plan, which would renovate the current sites, and we wouldn't have to build the world's tallest jail in the world. We think this is the most logical and feasible process to go through. And so currently we're asking our colleagues to sign on to this resolution, and hopefully we can have a hearing soon. Also, at the last stated meeting, we passed a resolution to make Lunar New Year a New York City official holiday, and for the DOE to recognize it as a day off for students, even if it lands on the weekend, to have that Monday off. And next year is going to be the same thing. So hopefully DOE will comply with it and give the day off for kids so they can spend time with their family. Locally, as many of us know, we've been receiving a lot of complaints in regards to the smoke shop. As chair of the Manhattan delegation, I've been working with my colleagues to write a letter to the sheriff's office to do a borough-wide sweep, something they did similar to in Staten Island. In addition, we were with the district attorney, Alvin Bragg, and the mayor announcing a new initiative from the DA's office where they're going to start going after the landlords who have illegal smoke shops in their building. And so he sent the letter to 400 illegal smoke shops. And that number is going to continue to grow as the weeks go on. In our district, he sent a lot of them, especially the ones on the Lower East Side and the Greenwich Village area of my district. And so we will follow up with him to make sure that the landlords and the smoke shop stop selling illegal products and have actually healthy licensed materials in their shops. Additionally, we're still holding an asylum seeker clothing drive. My office has been conducting this for the past 4 weeks, and every single day we've been getting dozens and dozens of family that come in. And so if you do want to donate, it doesn't have to be new clothes. It could be lightly worn clothes as well. The biggest need mostly now is for children and for teenage girls. We have a lot of adult clothes at the moment, but I think that's what we're lacking. And we're going to continue the clothes drive until we don't see a need for it, but we still do. As I want to thank everyone who applied for discretionary funding that application process closed this past week, and we will be following up with organizations if we have any more questions on our side. And as I'm sure, as everyone knows, community board applications are coming up in a few weeks. So definitely apply. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our office or the borough president's office as well. But thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Carlin.
Yes, hello, Councilmember Marty. One of your senior advisors was accused of using derogatory, defaming, and negative language against a Chinese ethnic press reporter. This happened 10 days ago. Now, this language would not have been tolerated in any kind of private employment environment, and it should not be tolerated on taxpayer paid salaries. What you're still doing an investigation? Are you condoning this?
I agree. The alleged language is totally unacceptable. Right now, there is an investigation by the General Counsel of the New York City Council, so there's not many actions, or there's limited amount of things my office can say or do publicly. We condone that type of language in any setting. And for now, we have to take the advice of our lawyers because it is a sensitive issue. And we are respecting the process. I wish there was a lot more that I can't say and do, but we're just taking the counsel of the lawyers of the city council, and that's as much as we can say. Once the investigation comes to conclusion, we will definitely let everyone know what we would do.
You don't know what you're going to do? If this was a private employment situation, we work for a private company, would have been terminated already. It's sexual harassment also, which is not tolerated in any kind of workplace.
I
agree.
agree. I agree that type of language and the words are completely unacceptable, but the General Counsel has the final say in this matter. There's very limited things that we can do as an office, and this has been the status quo of any time there's been this type of language that's been allegedly used, whether it's in office or to reporters or to the public. There's a process in place that we have to respect, and my office is respecting that process, Harlan.
Okay, thank you. All right, there's 3 other hands up for you, Councilmember Maylee. Go ahead.
Hi, council member. I have a question. You mentioned at the stated meeting today, there was, I'm sorry, I didn't go or I didn't listen to it either, but there was a resolution about the borough-based jail and something about adaptive reuse of current sites. When you say current sites, do you mean current sites around the city, or because there are facilities around the city, or are you talking about Rikers Island?
To the borough-based jail Chinatown plan on 124, 125 White Street, the current MDC Manhattan Detention Center site is slated to be demolished and for the city to build the world's tallest jail. And so on that site, we have worked with architect experts, consultants, even the original, one of the original architects said that adaptive reuse is possible at this site. And he thinks that's the best solution to have a humane facility and also to not spend billions of dollars in incarceration, which the city plans to do.
Okay, and then, the other thing about the asylum seekers, you're doing the clothing drives. Is your office doing or planning anything else?
We did a roundtable with all the big nonprofits in our district. So we met with Henry Street Settlement, Grand Street Settlement, Chinatown Manpower, and a few others. So to create a one-pager of services that we can offer on the Lower East Side. So typically what we do is when a family comes to get clothing, we sit down with them and we ask them what they need, whether it's after school programs for their kids, whether it's English classes for the whole family. We've been able to compile a list of services that they could get in a walkable area. And so, there are things that we can help them on the city side, but we also have great providers in our district that do amazing work. And so we've been able to kind of like hand them off to the service provider depending on the need.
Okay, well, I think, I don't know if you've contacted the office or Susan about, these kinds of meetings, but I think we would appreciate being included on it as well. I'm the chair of the Human Services Committee, so, Human Services and Schools. So, we have been talking to Carrie Chan a little bit just about, what's going on in D1 in the schools.
Yeah.
But we would appreciate more communication from your office as well.
Yeah, definitely. And this is the first time we heard that request. And just we've been getting asylum seekers from throughout our district and throughout the borough to our office. So it's just not CB3 specific, but for the families who reside and work and study here, we will make sure that CB3 knows the services we're providing them as well.
All right, thank you, May. I have 3 more hands for you, Chris. Michelle, Alistair, Damaris, in that order. Michelle.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, Chris. Thanks for being here tonight. I just wanted to follow up quickly on Carlin's question, because isn't Mr. Wong the same staff member who admitted to fraudulently listing a Chinatown address in order to vote for you in 2017? I'm just kind of wondering how many strikes one person gets before they have no more chances. So thank you, and thanks for being here tonight.
Again, that as this were all alleged, there was no final say. If there is something that comes to that's definite, that comes to our office so that we hear about, we're happy to take any action necessary. And, as I said before, there is a process in place. There's things that I would have done if I had the final say on them much quicker and more publicly, but I don't. And so we have to respect the general counsel process because that's why they're there.
Okay. Alistair and then Damaris, go ahead. Alistair.
Thanks. I'd like to go back to the smoke shop issue and where you're involving landlords or kind of putting the blame on landlords for the abundance of smoke shops around. First of all, most commercial leases, if not all of them, have clauses in them that the business has to be a legal business operating in a legal manner. I don't think landlords are putting them smoke shops that are selling illegal products in their places illegally. And if you did your job properly and shut down the businesses, you wouldn't have to involve the landlords. So it seems like you're passing the buck by having the landlords go ahead and evict the tenants, which is a long process. It's costly. It's not easy to do when you don't have very clear data on what's illegal. Housing courts is backlogged. So I think a more efficient way is to figure out how to shut down the illegal pot shops and proceed that way rather than passing the buck and saying, oh, we'll have the landlords evict them, which is a very long, slow, and time-consuming, costly process. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'll take that back to the district attorney's office.
Thanks.
Your final question, Damaris.
Hi, how are you, Councilmember Marte? It's not really a question, it's just more of a comment. I appreciate that you're putting together a service guide for residents in the neighborhood, and I'm sure, as you know, there are organizations that may not be in your district directly, but serve a significant amount of folks in your district with a wide variety of issues. So we'd like to be included in that service guide as well. And so I'd just like to know how to get in touch with someone or who to send whatever information so that we can be included. That was it.
Great. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, you can reach out to Ian Wong in my office.
Ian?
Ian, yeah, his email is iwng.nyc.gov. And then we can set up a meeting and just talk about what you and your organization could provide to the asylum seekers at the moment.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Damaris. Thank you, council member, for coming on tonight.
Thank you, Paul. Have a good one.
You too. All right, I'm gonna backtrack. Assembly Member Epstein's office.
Good night, TV3. My name is Chanel Elliott. I'm here from Assembly Member Epstein's office. I listened to Samantha and Tracy, I believe, from Assemblymember Glick's office and Assemblymember Lee's office, and I have a lot of the same information. And I'm not gonna make everybody sit through all of that again. So I'll say that Assemblymember Epstein has also been a part of the efforts surrounding the Eye and Ear Infirmary. And he's also a part of the environmental conservation efforts committee, excuse me. So he's been a part of those efforts as well. He's also participated in the joint budget hearing. And I'll say one of his top legislative priorities is the safe legalization of existing basement and cellar units in New York City. And he was able to have the opportunity to hear testimony from both Mayor Adams and City Council Speaker Adrian Adams, who both support his plan. In the district, I want to give a shout out to, we just proclaimed for Black History Month, Ferdinand Filton from Walled Houses and Marcus Jenkins. You may know him from around the district as well. So if you see them around, you can give them a big congratulations. Our office is also organizing a senior tour for any seniors in the district who may be interested in touring the Capitol. Assemblymember Epstein is sponsoring a bus, and I believe Assemblymember Grace Lee is sponsoring a bus for her district as well. That trip is going to be on March 10th. So if you know any seniors who are interested in riding up to the Capitol, we would love to have them. I believe it's from 7 to 7 or 6 to 7. Don't quote me, but you can definitely call the office to register and get more information about that. The number to the office is 212-979-9696. I'm going to drop the CB3 report in the chat, and that'll have the office contact information as well. I'm kind of tired, so I don't really have much to say, but if anyone has any questions, I'm here to take them. If not, we're always doing constituency services work. We're always here. You can reach out to the office at any time. Again, that number is 212-979-9696. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you, Chanel. Tired at 8? No, that can't happen. All right. Thank you. All right. Senator Kavanaugh's office. Is Patricia on? There you
Yes,
go.
I'm here. Hi, good evening, everybody. As you everybody knows that we're still in budget season, and the senator is collaborating with his colleagues to try and get the best budget possible. Tomorrow, the state will be holding its housing budget hearing, where they'll go over executive budget proposals in relation to housing items. And it can be, you can tune into it on the Senate website. We are also, his office in the CB3 district is also engaging with NYCHA developments and issues, especially with First Houses, their roof replacement capital project, Campos Plaza, and the flooding sewage issue. And tomorrow, overlapping electeds, we're going to be visiting Meltzer Houses for a building walkthrough. Hopefully more, we've been invited by several tenant association leaders for a walkthrough, so we could see firsthand what the issues are. And little by little, we're going to try and trying to visit everybody. So that's about it for me. Any questions?
Carlin, go ahead.
Hey, Pat, how you doing? This has
Good.
nothing
What
to.
can I do for you, Carlin?
I have a simple question. Brian Kavanaugh hired you. Does he have the authority to fire you? As you know, you used to work for Margaret Chin's office, who hired.
Yes, I did. Yes, I
Okay.
work
Does she
for
have?
Margaret
She hired
Chin
you. Does she have the
Healthcare.
authority to fire you? Without
I
going
don't-
through a whole administrative process.
Why? I imagine if I did something really horribly wrong, yes. What did I do? Did I do something wrong?
Oh, no, I'm just trying to get a clarification from, because Christopher Marty didn't want to go into that. He said he had to go through a whole administrative process and all. Because,
Okay.
you know, if I was the boss, if I hired someone, I'm definitely going to fire the person. I have the
Okay,
authority to fire the
so
person.
I would amend, okay, I worked for the council member for 12 years. If I did something horribly wrong and council member wants to end my contract and my work with her office. That's, let me see, that goes through a process of review. And it also goes through a legal process. I do know that there is a legal, oh gosh, there's a legal process at City Council that they examine the entire issue, and the final word is there. It depends entirely on what it's done, but I do know that City Council does have a process.
All right. Thank you, Patricia.
Christopher Marte explained
We're
pretty
gonna stop
clearly.
right. Thank you,
Yeah.
Patricia. Is there any other questions that are more relevant to the board? Thank you, Patricia. All right. We're gonna move on to the last report of the
I'm
evening.
sorry, Paul, may I say one thing? I forgot
Sure.
one thing, I'm so sorry. We're also having an e-waste event in March. One second, Saturday, March 19th. We're having an e-waste event on Avenue A at Tompkins Square Park. So if you have any electronics working or non-working, oh, Julio's here. We're doing it in conjunction with Carnenie's office. So I'm sure he'll give you some more information. Good night, guys.
Thank you so much for being tired. All right. Okay, Julio.
Hi, guys.
Council member Rivera's office. Oh,
Yeah,
and I'm before Julio starts, I'm not going to take any more questions on the situation with the council member Marte's office. That's the end of that. So he already answered the questions on that tonight. Julio, just keep it to stuff in the district, please. Thank you.
Absolutely. Can you guys hear me? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. My name is Julio. I'm the council member CB3 liaison. I just want to mention a couple of things that the council member is working. I do want to put a disclosure. I don't know how many people are aware, but the council member is on parental leave, and she is spending time with her family and her brand newborn child. So our office is still open though, and we're still here to assist anybody who does need any help with any city agency who has any question or concern. Please contact us. I do want to go ahead and make light that the council member joined Senator Gillibrand and other advocates with CB3 on a new plan, federal money that came to the district to redo Delancey Street. And make it more pedestrian safety, make it for bikers. This street has been problematic, where an individual, a child, has died years ago. So we are very excited about this, and we thank Senator Gillibrand and Senator Schumer for bringing that money to our district. Councilmember has continued her work with Tompkins Square Park to make improvements. I do want to go ahead and highlight that the council member has allocated $25,000 that will go towards 21 new trash cans in addition to what they have, and new seating at the main lawn that should be happening in the next month or two. And the council member is working on preserving home ownership and integrated practices to promote co-ops and HDFC in the district. As I think I said before, we have many of them in our district, and we want to continue to do that to make it more accessible to folks. I am going to highlight some of the events that we have coming up. We do have a street cleanup with the Sanitation Foundation on April 1st. It'll be in the board report. You can contact our office. There's a recycle your e-waste on Sunday the 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Tompkins Square Park on Avenue A between 9th and 10th Street. And we're really excited about this. We're having two big tree events coming up. We have a April 4th free tree stewardship training. If this will go ahead and give anybody who would love to learn more how they can play a part in our urban forest here in New York City. And you can learn about how to clean up tree beds, soil cultivation, watering, mulching, gardening. Adults and kids are welcome. It's going to be in a board report how you can sign up. Once again, that's going to be on April 4th. And our office is going to have an East Side Street tree survey. We need volunteers. We're really excited about this. We're going to kick it off on Earth Day. And our office is going to go ahead and just go through every tree bed in Council District 2 to see how we can go ahead and increase our trees in our district. You are more than welcome to sign up if there's a specific region. If you can only do it in around East Village, Lower East Side, you let us know. We are more than happy to accommodate those. That will be in the board report, so please sign up. We're really excited about this. The council member has made it an effort to bring more trees to our region, to our district. It has many different benefits, and I am open for question if anybody has any.
You have two hands up. We have Robin and then Susan. Robin, go right ahead.
Hi, thanks, Paul. Hi, Julio. Thank you so much for that presentation. I just was, my ears perked up when you mentioned that council members working on safety plans for Delancey Street. We all know that it's an issue for pedestrians and bikers, but it's also, if part of that thinking could be about traffic control as well, and trying to get cars to be able to turn back onto Delancey, from heading south. I know that Transportation Committee is working on that whole traffic problem within our neighborhood with the bridge, but if that could be part of what she's working on and work with us on that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Absolutely. This was a grant that was given by the federal government, and we're looking for a public process where we can have community input on how we can better improve our communities and streets.
Awesome. Great. Thanks.
All right, Susan, go right ahead.
Sure, this is on the same issue. So everybody's very excited about the 21 million, but also kind of mystified because we know nothing about it or what's going to happen with it. And so this is for both council offices, but I'll ask you. We did ask DOT to, if they could present anything about the plan, and they said it was too early. We would like your help in getting a presentation to the committee to understand what is the criteria. There must be federal criteria. What is the process? Just to explain all of that in the beginning would be very helpful. So thank you.
Absolutely. I will bring it up to the team, and we'll definitely request for a public meeting on that, Susan, so we can follow up on that.
Val, last question.
Yeah, I guess my question is not so much a question, but one of the other issues with the whole Delancey Street area was the whole thing about making the subway there accessible. And that had to be coordinated with the Essex Street crossing with their building. So I would just hope that you coordinate all of these things together so that we don't get started and then it's like, oh, well, we have to stop because we're doing something over here, because the subway is on Delancey and Essex, right? Delancey and Essex. And I'm sure that from what I've heard about that funding, that's like one of the areas that they're looking at is Delancey and Essex. So hopefully just coordinate it with those efforts there, because that whole thing with congestion pricing, one of the things I know, I'm with a group that advocated that because congestion pricing is below 60th Street, that they look at the fact that we don't have accessible subways. The East Broadway subway is not accessible. Delancey Street is not accessible. So just, just hopefully just coordinate all of that with the subway and everything. But otherwise, it sounds like a good idea. I remember when that kid got, hit on Delancey and Clinton. So, it's good to hear that something is going to happen. It would just be good if it's coordinated. Thank you.
Absolutely. And, the council member has had a priority to making transportation accessible, and we can definitely reach out to the MTA, make sure that that process continues even with this one. So thank you so much for that.
All right, there's no other questions, Julia. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Please don't forget to sign up for the tree survey. We're very excited. And thank you, and have a good night.
All right, tree survey, everyone. All right. Okay. That is the end of elected official reports for the evening. That didn't take long. All right. Let's go with our our first vote for the approval of the minutes of December 2022. Danielle, go ahead with attendance.
Sorry, 1 minute. Sorry, not seeing it. 1 minute.
The
I'm
vote
sorry.
sheet, the vote sheet is one of the attachments. I mean, the attendance.
Oh, I see it. I see it. I see it. I'm sorry. Where- I'm not seeing everyone's full name for some reason. I'm sorry, I'm having like internet issues and it's not, everything's not loading as it should today. I see everyone. I don't see, no, I'm not seeing the names on my sheet, Susan.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Sorry, Paul.
You
thank
keep looking for it, but I'll take this one. All right, David Adams.
Yes.
Okay. Ron Altman.
Yes.
Sarah Rose Bachu.
Yes.
Lee Berman.
Yes.
Anna Calderon. Anna Calderon, absent. Carlin Chan.
Yes.
David Crane.
Present.
Eric Diaz.
Yes.
Tariq Darrell.
Yes.
Alistair Economakis.
Yes.
Jamie Felber.
Yes.
Larry Fenn.
Present.
Shirley Fennessy.
Yes.
Catherine Freed. Absent. Brian Gilliam.
Yes.
Deborah Glass, I believe she's absent. Jake Gold.
Yes.
Andrea Gordillo.
Yes.
Danielle Hernandez.
Yes.
Herman Hewitt. Herman Hewitt. Absent. Trevor Holland.
Present.
Valentina Jones.
Yes.
Jeanette Kim.
Yes.
Michelle Cooper Smith.
Present.
May Lee.
Yes.
Wendy Lee.
Yes.
Alicia Lewis Coleman. Alicia. Absent. Amanda Lou.
Yes.
David Louis.
Yes.
Laura Lugo.
Here.
Paul Rangel, present. Damaris Reyes.
I'm here.
Richard Ropiak.
Yes.
Thomas Rosa.
Present.
Robin Chattel. Robin?
Yes, sorry, I was muted.
Not a
Present.
problem. Gotcha. Heidi Schmidt.
Present.
Arnett Scott.
Present.
Thank you. Larissa Shaneberg is absent today. Sandra Strother.
Present.
Thank you. Daniel Tainow.
Present.
Thank you. Josephine Velez.
Present.
Thank you. Troy Velez. Troy. Rodney Washington.
Present.
Joshua Waterman.
Present.
Kathleen Webster.
Present.
Jackie Wong. Absent. July Yang.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. I'll have those, Kenyon, just if you're able to pull up the sheet at some point, because we may have a few votes tonight, but I have it just in case, all right? Okay. So that is it for attendance and approval of minutes, so that'll go right into my report. That was kind of fun. I should do that more often. All right. All right. need water for that one. All right. Good evening, everyone. Didn't take long at all. Couple of things from my report tonight. As mentioned earlier, the executive order is still intact and was extended, I believe, to March 21st. So that means we're still on Zoom. I think the city council may be coming to a vote on open restaurants at some point.
And either year, send this week.
Take care of that. So once that happens, I believe once they vote on it and they don't extend the executive orders, I believe there's going to be probably a process in place to move back every meeting to face-to-face meetings. But stay tuned for that over the next month or so. But at least for March, it is all on Zoom. Today, I'm kind of winging everything. There's been a change at the SLA committee. Michelle stepped down as the committee chair. Jeanette Kim stepped in as the acting chair for the past month. I believe we are going to be in the process of a more permanent solution of finding the committee chair for the SLA over the next month. That being said, I've sent some emails out. Some of you know, some of you don't know, but now you all will know. Today is my final meeting. I will be stepping down as the chair of Manhattan Community Board 3, and more so, I'll be leaving the board altogether. I'll be leaving Community Board 3 altogether, so I will not be staying on as the chair or as a board member. Reasons primarily personal, health-wise and whatnot. Don't worry, nothing terrible. I do have to just take care of some stuff and something has to get sacrificed. And unfortunately, it's this. I can't quit the pay job. So as much as I think about that from time to time too. But I want to thank in particular the district office, Susan Stetzer, who's the district manager, for her guidance over the past year and a half as chair, and her guidance as well as for me being transportation chair when I was in that role. Thankful to my predecessor, Alicia Lewis Coleman, who is kind of responsible for all this mess. She asked me if I wanted to run, if I would like to run back in the summer of 2021, and so be it. So thank you. I know Alicia's not on, but I'll reach out to her personally. So I'm thankful to those two. I'm thankful to David Crane, who I got to serve on transportation with and human services as well. And as parliamentarian, and he was technically my board mentor as well. So, and he got to hear my rants about Robert's rules and stuff like that and what we cannot do. So he got to hear that all the time. But I try to stay as much on Robert's rules as much as I possibly could, especially in full board meetings. I want to thank just all the people I've gotten a chance to work with, all the board members, whether it was on the Human Services Committee, on the Transportation Committee, and as the full board chair. Thank you. I'm fine. I'll be okay. Going through some medical stuff and I'll be okay. I'll be fine. I'm still young enough to take care of a lot of stuff, so I'll be able to move on. As I told the borough president's office and I told Susan, this is the last of me for now, but it's not the last of me. I am grateful for the opportunity to have learned and serve this board and still live in the community. But I think this is a good as time as ever to kind of just take a step back, step away, and focus on some of the things I need to focus on. And I don't want to be a burden because I saw myself slowing down greatly around Christmas time, around the holidays, and I knew something was not right. So I want to get all of that fixed, and that's my primary responsibility. So what does that mean overall in the long run? Unfortunately, the first vice chair is supposed to take over in this role, but the first vice chair is Eric Diaz, and unfortunately, he cannot fulfill the duties of being the chair. So he will be stepping down as well. That would mean the second vice chair is going to be promoted up, which is Tariq Durrell. He will now be the acting chair until November. He'll be the chair until November when the elections start. That means there's two openings there will be 2 openings effective tomorrow for the first vice chair and the second vice chair roles. So there will be an election at the end of March. So you should be on the lookout for an email for nominations. And you should be on the lookout for the email from nominations for that. So that election needs to happen almost ASAP in the March election. So thank you to Eric for letting me know that he couldn't fulfill those duties. Go ahead, David. I was going to save questions.
Technicality, but the nominations open at the March meeting and the election is at the April meeting, if I am correct about the bylaws.
My apologies, but be on the lookout for all those emails. If the nominations are at the March meeting, then the April meeting will probably be the election. Excuse me. Thank you, David. See, Robert's rule stuff. All right. So yeah, I once again thank you for the opportunity. I really hope things work out better for the board. I know we're in a bit of a tough time as a board. There's a lot of things going on. And if anybody wanted to speak to me or ask me any questions offline, I am available to do so over the next week or so. Outside of that, I'll be kind of hiding, for lack of a better phrase. So I'll take any questions, comments, concerns, jokes, poems, lyrics right now. Carlin.
I just want to thank you for serving as chair and good luck on your health issues.
Thank you.
I second that.
All right, we got a second. All right, thank you, Kay.
Me too.
Thank you, Sandra.
Now it's the law.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Thank you.
Too. I wish you well and good luck in all your endeavors and return to us safely and healthy.
Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns? Thanks, Heidi. All right, that is the end of my report for the night. And now that report will go to the district manager. Susan, go ahead.
Thank you. I testified this morning at the Government Operations City Council meeting regarding support for community boards. And I particularly mentioned need for a baseline budget increase, more than 30 days to provide input into planning for programs and policies and budget consults, and funding for Community Engagement Commission to support community boards. I've been asked to particularly report on police issues in the district, so I'll give an update. There in the Orchard Street area and in some nightlife areas above Houston. I've attended precinct and build-a-block meetings and discussed with the 7th and 9th precinct some trending crime issues. The first is subjects are approaching highly intoxicated individuals and asking for their cell phones. During these interactions, the subjects are either fleeing with the victim's property or transferring currency electronically. And the other issue on the streets is subjects approaching highly intoxicated individuals with laced cigarettes. Once the individual takes a smoke of said cigarette, the victim will lose consciousness and have their property stolen. You can tell I'm cut and paste from police. The 7th precinct reports these problems in the Hell Square area. The 9th precinct reports these problems, particularly targeting areas frequented by NYU students. This is in addition to the grand larceny crimes inside the businesses. An update to our Office of OCM, Office of Cannabis Management resolution that the board voted on last month. I'm still very unclear about the process of what happens after we vote. And I made many attempts to contact OCM, but could not get a response. I finally asked Deborah Glick's office to call, and then they were not successful. They brought in Harvey's office, who was able to get me a return call. And I had thought incorrectly that we would find out about a decision on a resolution at a board meeting. It turns out this does not happen. And they don't know at this point the status or the procedure, which sounds rather incredible, but it's true. I have now asked to be informed if the license is a done deal or if it's still to be determined. So I hope to be able to get that information. A few of the elected official reps mentioned the NYCHA community centers. Compost Plaza has been having sewage backup problems for like about 6 years. We've often had this in our budget priorities and district needs, but we didn't know this. The NYCHA decided, or some people decided, to save money on some maintenance, ongoing maintenance, and the backup that resulted was horrendous. I couldn't get a response. NYCHA was very responsive, but I couldn't get an actual plan for them. So I asked the congressional office, to help, and if they were able to get a site visit and a plan. It was so bad that we just opened the door and had to go back outside. We couldn't go in, and the problem has still not been resolved. Then we had another site visit at University Settlement Senior Center at Rafael Hernandez. This also has been in our budget priorities and district needs for years. And, hopefully it'll result, the congressman will be able to help get more funding. And that's my report. Oh, one more, just a reminder to board members, you should not be joining these board meetings through our website. You get an email from Zoom that's personal for you, and you should use that to join the meeting, and then you don't have to worry about getting promoted. And that's it, unless there's any questions. Thank you.
I don't see any hands up for you, Susan.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Susan. Okay. All right, so we'll go to committee reports right now. We'll go start with the executive committee. So for us, we heard some board members who had some attendance issues that were failing to comply with the probationary period. We've decided that 2 of the board members, I'm sorry, I'm reading off the wrong sheet. Jamie Felber and Herman Hewitt will receive letters of reprimand for inadequate attendance. And next, that's the resolution that you see on your vote sheet. They are reprimands for attendance. They are not removals from the board. That was one of the options for and according to the bylaws. And these are the decisions we made and resolutions we have for executive committee on those 2 board members. Do you have any questions? No questions. All right, thank you. Next committee up, transportation, David Gray.
Hello, the one resolution we passed, it's evident on the vote sheet, asking for sufficient notification so we can actually have a meeting with public notification. Are there other questions or any questions? Thank you. Oh, Richard.
David, given what the borough president's office said, is the work that we did at the last committee meeting more or less superseded until the borough president and the elected officials come back to us?
Which issue? I don't think so, but which issue?
On Delancey Street.
Oh, no, it's not. We've got inquiries out to find out what. I'm pretty sure that what was being referred to is a federal grant, the Federal Department of Transportation, a grant for something called Road Diet for the access to the Williamsburg Bridge, and we really don't know much further what it is, but we're inquiring.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. I think we can go to the next committee report.
Parks, did Parks meet? I don't think Parks met, right, Trevor?
No, we did not. You were muted for a second.
Sorry.
First, Paul, thank you for your service. I anticipate we will see you back, but I just wanted to thank you as part of my committee report, just for your leadership here. No, I'm not gonna say it. We did not meet, but we will meet in March. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. I appreciate that. Human Services, Maylee.
Good evening, everyone. We do have one resolution for you to vote on tonight. The committee voted on this resolution about supporting carbon-free and healthy school buildings. It would be to urge the or support prioritizing investment in the city's fiscal budget for the upcoming year to have school building retrofits and solar energy installations, so we could have more carbon-free and healthy schools. It involves, like, use of local labor, and there's a lot of jobs and hiring involved. It also takes advantage of a federal program that's what's called the Federal Inflation Reduction Act, direct pay, where municipalities and schools can get offset up to 50% for the cost, for the investment cost of these projects. This resolution was actually brought to us by this coalition called New York Carbon Free and Healthy School Campaign, and they're shopping it around to different community boards, I believe, I guess in the hopes of having a borough board resolution, one day. So we, voted on this resolution pretty much as it was presented to us. We did add something about local hiring because it wasn't specifically mentioned. But in addition to the union jobs, we need local hiring and union jobs. Right? So that's the resolution. You should also note that we were one short of a quorum on that day when we voted. So this is, I guess, a recommendation.
David Crane, you have
Questions?
I move that we adopt the resolution that was drafted by the committee when there was no quorum present.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Yep. All right.
Do we need to vote on that now?
Not right now. We can vote on it at the very end. It's now
It's now on the vote sheet officially. We just needed to adopt it, but we'll vote. We'll be at the end. Call David Adams. You have your hand up.
Yeah, I was wondering, that you said they presented you the resolution. Did you need vetting on it or review anything, or just took their word for everything?
No, so we had a presentation. There was a whole presentation, and there was a slideshow, and we had questions, and there was questions and answers. Some members of the public were there. The committee asked a lot of questions as well. And but what I'm saying is that they prepared it. And what I'm also telling you is that the same resolution will be shopped around to the different community boards. So that's what I'm trying to tell you.
We're voting on Community Board 3. That's what I'm worried about. But thank you. Okay, bye.
Is there any other questions from me? That's it, man. Thank you, man.
Oh, and don't forget, next month we'll have that presentation from NYU Langone about Alzheimer's, the Alzheimer's caretakers, the program. So if you're interested in hearing more, please come to the meeting.
All right. Thank you, man. Before we get to anything else, let me find Sandra Landmarks didn't meet, correct? The meeting ended up canceled?
Yes, it was canceled. We'll meet next month.
Okay, thank you. Land use also canceled. Jake Gold.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move now to SLA. SLA, Jeanette Kim, who was the acting chair for the month. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for everyone who came to the meeting and supporting me in my first meeting as chair. All the slips we sent out were signed except for one reception bar. So I'm going to suggest an amendment right now to amend that to a deny. And I have the language of the resolution up if anyone can second the motion to change it, or I can flash it, I suppose.
So you're changing, yeah, what is the agenda item number?
The agenda item number is 16, and we had stipulations they decided not to sign, so I'm just gonna flip that to a denial. I'm happy to share my screen and the resolution as revised if.
Give me 1 second. You can share your screen now.
Excellent, thank you.
Could we make sure the revised resolution is sent to both Kenyell and myself?
Yep.
Thank you.
We're simply changing it to a deny. And sorry, let's let it load for a second. And then the language for the final clause becomes recommends the denial, et cetera, as the applicant agreed to all the following stipulations, except for the stipulation that it close all outdoor dining by 10 p.m. CB3 standard stipulation for restrictions on outdoor dining, which is the only thing that was the point of contention. So is a denial.
David, you have your hand up.
Well, it's about item 6. We had some strengthening resolutions. Is
Well,
that?
can we
Let's finish this one
stick
up.
to the item that we're discussing at the moment, please?
Okay, I don't think there's an issue with this. Does anybody have any objections to 16? It's a denial.
Hello. Hi.
Okay,
Let's make
that's fine.
this amendment.
16 is fine. It will be going in as a denial on your vote sheet. Everyone, that'll be switched over to a denial. All right, what's next?
There's also one other amendment to be made to number 6, 112 Sand Street, which is already a denial. We're just strengthening our case for the denial with the following amendments. And this is taking into consideration what the precinct has communicated to Susan. Again, these are just strengthening the denial. It's going to stay as a denial. Whereas 112 Stanton is located in an area with an oversaturation of licensed establishments. Conditions at the 7th precinct reported to CB3 leads to large crowds, along with grand larcenies, trending crimes such as scams, et cetera, which Susan noted in her report. And then the next, whereas the number of complaints in this area have caused the 7th precinct to adopt new crowd control techniques to help manage and disperse crowds.
Susan, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word scams. I mean, I think it's best to use police language because that makes it clear that it's coming from the police, and the wording that I gave you was really their wording.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna get rid of that, and then we're gonna leave that this will be the clause that I recommend then. I didn't receive anything, so.
You didn't receive it?
I did.
Excuse me, you didn't receive anything?
Not at the SLA email address.
So I did reply.
Is this like is this truly a substantive issue? It's already
It's an important issue. I told you I would send you language. I'm sorry if it went to your other email. But yes, I did send you very specific language. Paul, you have it. Maybe you could put it on the.
Is it important enough that we have to do
Yes.
this now?
Yes.
I
Yes.
kind of would disagree it's already a denial. We've already made a strong case.
Well,
I mean, as chair, I kind of, I don't know. I just don't, it's a denial. We've made an amendment. I just kind of want to move on. It sounds like everyone's.
So Paul, may I speak?
Yes.
So it's my recommendation with my, I'm going to say 18 years of experience of working with the SLA, that if you're going to make a denial, you make it as strong as possible. And there is nothing stronger than using police language and police reports. And what I sent, I guess it went to your other address, but Paul has it so he can share the screen, was specifically from the police that will serve the community because it greatly strengthens it, which means that's much more likely to be denied. Just, a denial has to be justified because they are taken to court all the time and they have to have good reasons for denying a license. So Paul, would you be able to share that?
I'll look through my email.
Paul has it.
I believe you have it in your email as well, but I haven't.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Yeah, I
find it.
sent it to Paul right before that.
I guess I'm reading it now. I don't really totally agree with all of the language.
Well, it came from the police.
Yes, but we're writing the resolution, so I'll take some of it, but I don't agree with all of it. Hold on.
David, you have your hand up?
Yes, I move to amend the amendment to use the exact language that Susan provided, which I had seen in email as well, and I can bring up if necessary. It is stronger and it is important.
Is there a second?
Seconded. Second.
Second, third, fourth.
I'll pull that up. Give me a second. I believe this is it. Can everyone see that?
Let's just adopt it. Yeah. Can we
It's
just
in the
adopt-
resolve. Yeah, so that's it. So it says three areas.
I don't actually want to use the term health square. It's like unofficial and not really what we
Well,
what we call it. So.
that's clearly not from the police. You can change the.
Okay,
Or-
Paul, I'll just put it into my resolution and then flip it on the screen.
You want to do that? I can.
Yeah.
All right. I'll stop my share. Go ahead.
Okay, here's the language. Any opposition? Seems like no. Paul, can we adopt it? Or
Yes.
excellent. I will send both of these revisions to you, Kenny-L and Susan.
I think there are two hands up, Paul.
Susan and David still have their hands up. Is that from now or?
I have
before?
another one. Okay. I move to amend item 7. It's not this one, it's the next one, to
Oh,
change
that one.
from an approve with steps into a denial. I'm reading just disappeared into a denial. This is the application for the 167 Orchard location. The applicant called Orchard Hospitality Group 2 LLC. It was discussed by the public. Paul has the markup for my amendment, I believe, which he can present on the screen. It's adding 6 additional whereas clauses explaining the oversaturation in this block, which we heard testimony from the public tonight, as well as the things that we just added to the previous resolution. It also replaces the resolved clause with a resolve that will ask the SLA to deny the full liquor license. And a further resolve that says CB3 would approve a wine beer license instead, along with the stipulations from the committee's motion, plus one that was on the previous license at the location about the basement. The situation on this block is deteriorating. My first 3 additional whereases, which we haven't seen yet, explain what's going on. There are just too many full liquor licenses in the area. The SLA and the NYPD both agree. So the amended resolution, the amendment with my the resolution with my amendment would reduce the impact by converting what's now a full liquor license location into wine beer. So, Paul, are you able to bring up?
You need a second, David.
Oh, yeah, I do. Well,
Second.
There it
Okay.
is.
If I may, Paul, as the current premise is already licensed, we find it highly unlikely that the board would accept our denial and go with the denial. We are under the presumption
Paul,
that the
can you
place
bring
would
up the
continue to be,
language, please?
I'm
This is
still
fine,
speaking.
it's fine,
please.
but it's
May I
been seconded. I
please-
want to see it on the
May I
screen.
please finish my piece? You've already gotten seconded. It is unlikely that I'm,
Don't know the
David,
amendment.
I'm
No,
still
it really
speaking.
needs to be on the screen so
Oh my
people may
God.
read it. Paul, please put it on the screen. It's been moved and seconded, and now we may debate.
Okay, given the fact that this place is already licensed, we find it highly unlikely that the SLA will now reverse that. Once the license is there, it's very hard for them to not put a license there. That was our position. That was what we discussed at length during committee. This was not ended lightly. We spent a lot of time trying to get to this point. And we also applied the same stipulations that the prior license holder had, which is as best as we could do in our, as what came out of our discussion. So I would caution y'all to kind of heed that.
Susan, you have your hand up?
Sure. I would like to say, again, based on years of experience of actually being at SLA hearings and, representing the board there, I don't think it's highly unlikely. It generally is, but I don't think this is a usual situation. And I think the reason is it's not the same type of business. This business is saying they're a burger restaurant, and a burger restaurant is different than a bar, and actually, so it's a totally different kind of business coming in there. And the other thing is that the history of that area is problematic, and that specific area intersection itself is highly problematic. I don't know if all of that's in the reso, because it's really too small for me to read, but if it isn't, I would have all those points in there. That's it.
I'm sorry, I'm having a tough time unmuting. Kay Webster, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, thanks to the committee. I think after hearing from the public in particular, that it really would be important for us to represent Held Square. Dan Boyd has been doing this for a really long time in that area. They live there, and they really are saturated. That isn't anybody's imagination, and I think this board should speak on their behalf.
All right, thank you, Kay. David, go ahead now.
So now that I'm calmed down, what Jeanette said is true. We did discuss this at committee, but I have changed my mind. I've evolved to understand that although there is a license in safekeeping at the moment, there's the SLA will deny this, or at worst, will put in a beer wine, which is most likely, given what I'm amending. This is not simply a case of there is one there. This is actually an excellent opportunity for us to learn if we can really roll these back. I believe that we can. And so please vote for this amendment. We would end up with the business that was being proposed, same stipulations that we had negotiated, but beer wine. Can you go down a little bit further, actually, and let's make sure, because I had a few mistakes I had made. In that last, therefore, put the word resolve, please put the word further in front of resolved. Yeah, and then in the second, oh, that's not the first one. Leave that one as just, that's resolved, and then the second one is further resolved. And there's one more mistake I made in my language. In the second bullet, there's a straight series of words with an open kitchen and would be removed. This is the stip that was on the, I believe is the current license, but they're not looking for open kitchen at this location out in the basement, but it would prevent them from having a bar. Now, I had gone back and forth, and so I apologize. All of our other stipulations are pretty much our standard ones and have been around for years. So I don't think we need to add more than this. Anyway, please vote for this so that we will bring down the temperature at this location, it really is getting very dangerous. Thank you.
Okay, now I have three
I have my
hands
hand
up.
raised. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
I'm
if
about
we
to call on
vote
people.
for SLA 7 in the manner that it's in, it's only approving wine and beer, right? And no DJ in the basement, nothing else, just the burger restaurant and the wine and beer, correct?
Correct. That's what the amendment
Okay, thank you.
would do.
Yeah, okay.
July and then Robin, July.
Thanks, Paul. Maybe since David is suggesting the amendment to completely deny the beer and wine license, let me ask David then, if the SLA disregards our recommendation, what is then the worst case scenario for this location? And then what can we as the community board do on behalf of the residents?
All right, it's a complex question. Let me explain just briefly to give context so you can understand what I believe will happen. The board, the committee, when we want to reduce the impact in an area like such as this one, and we get a license, we really look at it and ask, is the SLA going to follow our lead no matter what we say? In other words, if we ask for a flat out denial, will they follow us? And if we decide that they will, well, we can say flat out denial. This is the debate that Jeanette had referred to. But if we decide, you know what, they are going to be bound by all of their precedents and court decisions, they'll be bound by case law. If we decide they're going to be bound by case law to grant a license, then we really cannot say just outright deny. I mean, that would be irresponsible. If we know that they're going to have to put one in, then we put out a resolution say we would deny unless they sign these STIPs, which typically include early operating hours, no DJs and stuff like that. So in the worst case, if that were to be true, if they were going to do it anyway, and we just had a flat out denial, would be a 4 a.m. license with nightclub. However, in this case, you do kind of have to ask yourself whether you believe that they will go ahead and do a license. Well, in this case, we're providing a clear guidance that we would approve if they had come to us with a beer wine, and we would have asked them to do these things, closing at midnight and 1 a.m., for instance. And that's what I believe that they will do. Now, worst case is, well, that is the worst case. I don't believe that they would ignore all the problems that they know about and our sensible bullet point here in this further resolved. I don't think they're going to ignore us and create a 4 a.m. anything goes license. Is that helpful, July?
Yeah, so in essence, the worst case is, the resolution without the amendment.
Well, that's what we'll get if we don't pass my motion. That'll be again, midnight, 1 a.m., but full liquor. I believe that we're sending up one that will drop back to just beer wine when the SLA issues the license. I don't think there is a worse case than that. I mean, someone might argue they're going to ignore everything, but I don't believe that the SLA are actually jerks. I have misspoken in the past on that precise point. I believe that they will do a sensible thing, which is going to be beer wine.
What is the current application asking for? Is that in line with?
Since they've applied for the STIPs, since they signed the STIPs, they are asking for now full liquor, closing at these hours with these bullet points you see here with full liquor. There's a few others too, like no DJ.
So the SLA could grant what they're applying for.
Actually, oh my God, Paul.
Sorry.
The last
let's keep this going. Thank you.
The last bullet point should not say curated by a DJ. We don't want that. Ambient recorded music. Get rid of the clause that may or may not be curated by a DJ. Right, because that now brings it, I believe, back to what the applicant had signed on their STIPs. Thank you.
Okay, that's helpful, David.
Can
We
I-
have information. That's helpful. Okay.
All right, let's go with hands. Robin and then Susan. Robin.
Thanks for that explanation, David. It just seems to me, I guess, that the only intervention we as a community board could have to sort of halt any of these licenses would be to do some kind of change in legislation. Is that what it sounds like? In other words, someone in the state assembly would have to try to pass a law to change these court decisions. Is that what it sounds like? In other words, there's just a proliferation of liquor licenses that we seem to have no control over, really, except, as you're saying, to make them beer and wine. People could certainly get sloshed and drunk and not behave well on beer and wine, but that's what it sounds like to me, right?
That's a much broader topic. I don't know if we want to spend time talking about it tonight, but I'd be happy to bend anyone's ear on that topic out of the meeting.
Well, I mean, it's just because people keep coming to the board meetings, upset community residents, and many of us are them as well, who are just, up in arms about these liquor licenses, and it seems like we need to do something larger than. I mean, we obviously the SNL committee has a lot of hard work to try to make this as best as possible, but it seems like it's something larger, and I don't know. I guess yes, maybe we could have an offline conversation about speaking to our assembly members. I don't know.
Okay. All right, we have 3 more hands, and Susan Lee and Sarah. Susan.
Yeah, so part of the process that hasn't been talked about at all, that would be part of this process. I have a list of applications to fight at the SLA. The last committee chair created the list. This would go on it. So when we have ones that we deny, or this is I would almost call a semi-denial, if the residents want to go up and fight and want the community board to go with them, we do go up there. And there are discussions at the board. Sometimes there are negotiations at the board. This is at the SLA board. That's how we know. That's where we base our thinking of the SLA on. And in the last, I'd say 7 to 10 years, the SLA no longer just if a license is denied by the community board and the SLA grants, they no longer just grant without stipulations and give 4 a.m. They used to do that. They stopped doing that. So even if they ignore our resolutions, 90% of the time in those cases, they will put on at least some of the stipulations. They do want us to come up and fight it. They have said so. We actually meet with the SLA once a year, CBs 1, 2, and 3 with the chair, and we have these discussions. So it's not a sort of an isolated type of recommendation. So July had asked, what could we do? And what can we do is to go up to the hearing and participate. Thank you.
B. Berman.
I call the question.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Do we need any further debate on this topic, on this specific motion that David Crane has brought to amending? Does anyone object? No one. See 2 hands up, but that's not an objection. Not enough for an objection. That means the debate on this motion is now closed. I do not hear an objection. So what we're going to do, I'm going to move this to a vote to replace. The vote will be to replace the current form of the resolution on your vote sheet with this amended version. We are going to do a roll call vote. Kenil, do you have the vote sheet now? I resent it to you. Do you have it?
I do, Paul. I'm ready.
Okay. So this is
I'm
gonna
sorry, wait, we're doing a call just for this, or we're gonna do?
yeah, for this specific amended motion to replace the current item number 7. Well, with this amended motion, that's a resolve for beer wine, David, correct?
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Danielle, go ahead. Yes to replace, no to keep agenda item 7 as is on your vote sheet, but yes is to replace.
David Adams,
Yes.
Euron Altman,
Yes.
Sarah Rose Bachu, sorry. Sarah Rose Bachu,
No.
Lee Berman,
Yes.
Anna Calderon. Anna?
She's absent.
Carlin Chan,
Yes.
David Crane. David,
Yes. Sorry.
Eric Diaz,
Yes.
Tariq Darrell,
Yes.
Alistar Ecomakis,
Yes. Thank you.
Jamie Febler,
No.
Larry Finn,
No.
Shirley Fennessy,
Yes.
Catherine Freed,
Yes.
Ryan Gilliam,
Yes.
Deborah Glass,
She's absent.
Jake Gold,
Abstain.
Andrea Godidio,
Abstain.
Kenya Hernandez, yes. Herman Hewitt, absent. Trevor Holland,
Yes.
Valentina Jones,
Abstain.
Jeanette Kim,
No.
Michelle Cooper Smith,
Same.
Mei Lee,
Yeah, replace it.
Wendy Lee,
Yes.
Alicia Lewis Coleman. Oh, she's absent, sorry. Amanda Lou,
No.
David Louie,
Yes.
Laura Lugo,
Abstain.
Paul Rangel,
Yes.
Damaris Reyes,
Yes.
Richard Ropiak,
Yes.
Thomas Rosa,
Yes.
Robin Chattel,
Yes.
Heidi Schmidt. Heidi,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Arnett Scott,
Abstain.
Larissa Scheinberg, absent. Sandra Strutter,
Yes.
Daniel Tahoe,
Now. Daniel, can you say that again, please?
Yes.
thank you. Josephine Velez,
Yes.
Troy Velez, absent. Rodney Washington,
Yes.
Joshua Waterman,
Abstain.
Kathleen Webster,
Yes.
July Yang.
Yes.
Okay,
I just did the quick count. The yeses have it over the noes and abstains. So on your vote sheet, it will be replaced with this current version. I will send this over once the meeting is over, and I'll send this over to Danielle. Okay, Jeanette, go ahead.
I guess just like reclaim the report. I think that's hopefully that's
Yep.
the last thing.
You can finish your
Like,
report.
I definitely appreciate that I totally appreciate that the amendment passed, like that's totally fine. I think something that we look forward to in future SLA meetings is if people can bring these opinions up then, because if we don't have the context, like we spent all this time debating and now all of it was moot. So it's just frustrating for us. One, our meetings are so long already. So I would hope that more of you can join at that point. And then we don't have to spend the time here. So that would be great for the future. But otherwise, that's it from me.
Okay, thank you. I don't think there's anything else. In the SLA report, there's no more committee reports. All right. Okay. Any old business? Any new business? Yes, Ms. Lugo.
Hi, I sent an email to you and to the office in regards to a NYCHA town hall get together, and I was hoping for a response back and haven't heard from anybody since January 1st.
Oh, we didn't bring it up in our report. I believe there's already movement on that. We did mention it at exec. There is movement for a town hall. Susan, can you update Ms.
I
Lugo?
can, but Jake, do you want to give the update for your committee? I mean, it's not a committee meeting, but it's from the committee. Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
Why don't you do it? I can fill in anything, but
Okay.
I think you've got it.
Okay, so yes, in response to the email and Paul's direction to look into that, we did meet with the NYCHA program directors for those specific buildings and discussed having a town hall. An informational town hall, because it seems that people are particularly concerned about whether they're getting all the information and being able to ask questions. And it seemed like a good idea for the community board, which is kind of a neutral body, to be able to do that. I was actually just about to email Jake to start looking for dates. I think we were looking probably the end of March, beginning of April, to be able to do it well and to coordinate dates to make sure we can get the NYCHA representation. Is there anything you want to add, Jake?
That all sounds right to me. Thanks, Susan.
Is there any questions or further information, Laura?
I would just like to be a part of the conversation. I have shown interest in NYCHA for the whole time I've been here and haven't gotten anything back. And just for the future, if I do send an email, I would just appreciate that you guys have seen it instead of waiting to hear from you from the full board, just so that there's better communication here. Thank you.
I think you're right.
Go ahead, Ms. Damaris. Damaris,
Did you call me?
You have your hand up.
Yeah, I did. Me, Damaris? Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. I'm having like connectivity issues. No, I just wanted to say that, everybody knows that NYCHA is a big part of the work that I do and we do. And so that there would be a town hall coming out of this community board. I should hope that folks would reach out to me or to Goals to support in that process. It's always good to have multiple perspectives be present with residents. So I hope that Susan, you'll reach out or let us know. We want to be a part of the conversation as well.
So Damaris, there hasn't been actually any planning, and I feel that I'm more in a support role, but I 100% agree with you and was going to suggest reaching out to you.
Thank you. I'll look out for the email. Thanks.
Susan, you still have your hand up? No, okay. All right. We're going to go with the final roll call attendance with all the new versions of amended motions. So now we're voting on to finalize the new vote sheet and closing out tonight.
Ready? David Adams,
Yes.
Ron Altman,
Yes, present not voting, transportation 3. I work for DOT.
Sarah Rose Bachu,
Abstain on exec 1 and 2, and abstain on SLA 7. Yes to everything else.
I'm sorry, you broke up in the beginning. Abstain to
Exec 1 and 2,
exec 1 and 2.
and
what
SLA 7.
SLA 7. Okay, and yes to be here. Okay, thank you. Lee Berman,
First, thank you, Paul, for your amazing leadership over the last year plus. I am abstaining on exec 1 and 2 and voting no on SLA items 5, 10, and 13. Thank you.
SLA. Sorry.
No
say it
on
again.
SLA 5 is a no, 10 is a no, and 13 is a no.
13. Okay, got it. Carlin Chang,
Yes.
David Crane,
Yes.
Eric Diaz,
Yes.
Tariq Darrell, Tariq. Oh, I see it. Yes. Alistar Economics.
Yes, and thank you, Paul.
Jamie Febler. Jamie. Okay. Larry Finn,
No on transportation 3 and SLA 7. Yes to everything else.
Shirley Fennessy,
Yes.
Catherine Freed,
Yes on all, and thank you, Paul.
Ryan Gilliam,
Yes, thank you, Paul.
Deborah Glass. Oh, absent, sorry. Jake Gold,
No on exec 1, no on exec 2, no on SLA 7, no on transportation of 3, yes on everything else.
hold on. No, on 1 and 2. And then no on SLA what?
7 and transportation 3. Yes to everything else.
Okay. Kenya Hernandez, yes. Herman Hewitt, absent. Trevor Holland,
Yes, and just one comment. David, perhaps you can do some info on what the abstain vote means at next month's meeting. That might be useful. Thanks.
Hey guys, sorry, I had trouble with my mute. James L was still here if you want to come back to me.
all right, yes, no, abstain.
Oh, great, right now. Yes on everything, no on transportation 3 and SLA 7. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I'm back at Jeanette Kim.
Yes.
No, sorry. Valentina Jones,
Abstain, what was it, exec 1 and 2? And transportation, not transportation, what's this other one?
SLA?
Yeah, just abstain SLA. I'll abstain SLA. Just
Okay.
abstain the whole thing.
Okay. Jeanette Kim now.
Yes to everything except no on exec 1, no on SLA 7, and no on transportation 3. And thank you, Paul, for your service. And congrats, Tariq.
Michelle Cooper Smith,
No on exec 1,
no on transportation 3, no on SLA 7, yes on everything else. Thank you.
Hold on, Michelle, no exec, 1, SLA 7, was it?
Yep, and transportation 3.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Maylee,
Yes to all.
thank you. Wendy Lee,
Yes to all, and thank you very much, Paul. Wish you the best.
Amanda Lou,
Abstain SLA 7, yes to all.
David Louis,
Yes to all. Thank you, Paul.
Laura Lugo,
Abstain for SLA 7, yes to all.
Paul Rangel,
Yes to everything.
Damaris Reyes,
Yes to everything, and thank you, Paul, for your service, and I wish you the best.
Richard Ropiak,
Yes.
Thomas Rosa,
Yes.
Robin Chantel,
No exec 1 and 2. No SLA 7. No transportation 3. Yes on everything else. And Paul, wish you all the best. Hope to see you soon.
Heidi Schmidt,
Yes to everything.
Arnett Scott,
Yes, and thank you, Paul, for for your work and your service. Hope everything goes well for you and see you soon.
Sandra Strutter, Sandra,
I'm sorry, it's needed. Yes to all, and God bless you, Paul. I wish you good health. Adios te bendiga. And felicidades, congratulations to Tariq. Thank you, everybody.
David Tahoe, Daniel, sorry, Daniel.
Yes.
Josephine Velez,
Yes to everything, and Paul, God bless you, and I wish you all the best.
Rodney Washington,
Yes.
Joshua Waterman,
No on exec 1 and 2. No on SLA 7, yes on everything else.
Kathleen Webster,
Yes, and thanks, Paul.
July Yang,
Yes on everything. Paul, just thank you very much for your excellent leadership. You will be missed. And personally, I will miss your leadership on the board. Hope to see you back soon.
Kaniel, this is Andrea. I think I was skipped.
maybe.
I'm not sure.
Totally
Yeah.
probably possible with me. You can go now.
So I'm voting no on exec 1 and 2, and no on SLA 7, and yes on all. Thank you. And thank you, Paul, for your service.
SLA 7, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, and sorry about that. Okay, that's it.
You call out Jackie Wong?
He's absent.
He's
No,
absent.
he's absent, yes. I can call him though, Jackie Wong.
Just so we can mark the absence.
Okay.
David, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I wonder what it would sound like if we gave a round of applause for Paul. I'm just going to start on my end. Oh, I meant for more people to unmute, but you got the point. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Oh, Robin, your hands up.
I was trying to applaud you.
Do
Came
the
up with a
wave.
hand.
All right.
Universal hands up to Paul. Also.
Thank you. Kenyal, is there any issue with the votes? Is there like more yeses, more nos on anything? Does it seem like everything went through of nos and abstains?
Yeah, everything went, they counted the yeses were 28, 5 no's and 7 abstained.
On different things okay.
I'll have
Okay.
to calculate all the other ones a little more deeply.
All right. And I know you're having computer problems.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. Thank you. Once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the kind words. For the best of luck, and I will, hopefully I'll see you all in the future, or let's see what happens. Thank you. Have a great night. We are adjourned.
Bye.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye all.
Thank you, Paul. Good luck.
Night.
Mm.